And now, Justin Kirk performs Mindless in America by Kenneth Calhoun.
Mindless in America by Kenneth Calhoun. We decided, Farah and I, that we needed to reclaim our minds. Our minds were shot. Contemporary circumstances, everything from pandemics and remote jobs, social media, the exuberant adoption of nonlinear storytelling in movies and TV shows had turned our minds into mush, if not overnight oats. We moved through life in a stupor, sat through cycles of stoplights in a daze, forgot all our passwords, left some baked Cornish game hens on the counter overnight. We could either just lie back and let it continue till our brains leaked from our noses onto our memory foam pillows at night, or by God, we could do something. We thought about it for a while, discussing it in gasps as we came up for air while feeding at the content trough, or when bouncing between various bad content cults, the one with the mouse ears, the one with the dragons, the one with the capes, don't ever forget the one with the balls. Eventually we decided that, okay, sure, it is important to have a mind, or what some call a life of the mind. So yes, we decided, let's do it. Let's reclaim our goddamn minds. To do this, we knew we needed to read books, which are good content, just as there are good fats. We used to read books years ago, but fell out of practice. Due to a vestigial impulse, we still bought them. To read books, we knew we needed some nice chairs to sit on. We're all reading them. Hold up, I said. Now, isn't sitting the new smoking? Well, not if you're reading while sitting, Farah said. Then it's the new goat yoga. We looked up chairs online. Farah wanted chairs with armrests, so I showed her some recliners on my shopping screen. She wrinkled her nose at the recliners and said they were too suggestive of shot minds. The people who are drawn to such chairs are slaves of the content cults, she explained. And hello, look at those massive cup holders. You could dump a bucket of chicken wings in one, toss the bones in the other. I wonder how many people have died in such chairs, choking on a chicken bone. Graveyards full, I said, assuredly, as though I had researched this very thing. Alien archaeologists far in the future will unearth rows and rows of graves, each filled with human bones, and inexplicably to their alien minds, one chicken bone. We checked out Wayfair, where we found some great deals. The chairs we sought, we learned, were called accent chairs. Most had armrests. You could get two, small table to sit between them, where we would put books to be read, possibly beverages. We found a set we liked, discounted by 30%, and did the usual research, the price comparisons, the weighing of customer reviews. Not one review mentioned reading books while sitting on the chairs. We were not deterred. Farah said she wanted her feet to be elevated when she read books, so we added an ottoman to our cart. The chairs were upholstered with a tweedy fabric one might find in a library, and the neutral color went well with many of the books we had purchased over the years, like collectors. The ottoman, purchased at an 80% discount, was leopard spotted. It only took 3 days for the chairs to arrive. We gorged on a lot of bad content as we waited like a last hurrah. All screens blazing, phones, laptops, tablets, and plasmas, like the command center for a Mars landing or mall security. Then we heard the delivery van backing up, making a warning sound like an angry cyborg duck. That first day, we did our jobs, or what we call typey-typey, at opposite ends of the condo. Every now and then, we called out to each other sexy threats about the book we planned to read that evening. I'm going to read the fuck out of that book tonight, I screamed. My book isn't going to walk right for a week, Farrah exclaimed. My paperback is going to be a hardcover when I get through with it. I'm going to fondle its flaps, she yelled. Also, I'm going to lick the tip of my finger before turning each page. We tried for more of these sexy threats, but our brains were tapped out, hers anyway. Mine was overtaken by other reptilian impulses. These were some of the hottest things I'd heard Farrah shout in recent months. Needless to say, I was aroused. And from across the condo, in another room entirely, Farrah sensed this shift in my blood flow by reading into my horny silence. No, she said, before I could even broach the topic, it's all typey in here. Sorry, babe. I made some cookies, the feeling passed. That evening, we rushed our dinner, eager to get to those books. After the dishes were loudly crammed into the washer and the crumbs were swept up so as to discourage the mouse, we approached our new reading chairs and the books waiting there on the little table. Conditions were good for book reading. We had shut off the TV, silenced our phones, closed our laptops, had the windows open to the sunset. Pleasant breeze had ventured in, rustling our potted palms. Traffic on the street below had died down. At this hour, most people were inside consuming bad content. I thought I saw the mouse out of the corner of my eye, but Farrah couldn't validate. Ever since we spotted the mouse on our countertop, gnawing on a cauliflower chip, it had inhabited the corners of our eyes. We were constantly thinking we'd seen it darting through the edge of our periphery. It often proved to be nothing, as it did now. Forget that little creep. Let's read, Farrah said, rubbing her hands together briskly as if warming them for the handling of the book. We each selected our books from the stack. Mine was mostly green and orange. Farrah had selected one that was golden brown with Dijon mustard yellow highlights. Before we settled into them, we made a picture of Negronis to place on the little end table. We believed that's what Stanley Tucci would do. We sat back, Farrah with her feet up on the limbless leopard torso, me with one arm resting on the armrest. Now comfy, we began to read. Now, the book I had chosen was 107 years old. I wanted to visit the mindset of a people whose minds weren't shut. It was written before minds were turning into mush, so I figured it would help in the effort to reclaim my own mind. If it turned out to have a non-linear story shape, I was okay with that, I told Farrah. Now, she had warned me, having somehow recalled from a college course that the author of the book I had chosen was an early pioneer of the non-linear story shape. I shrugged, undeterred. If people chose to make a non-linear story shape back then, I said, they really fucking meant it. Time was... I struggled to complete the thought and ended up saying, more real. I did not immediately encounter any leaps in chronology, however, but this didn't mean there weren't any. What it meant was I'd only read 2 pages before my mind, or the tiny nerve bundle that I had left, began to wander. First, I looked at Farrah's feet on the ottoman. The metallic green color of her toenail polish reminded me of beetles we used to see a lot in the summers of my youth. I turned to Farrah. Your toes, they were much... Shh, she said. She pointed at the open book before her. Reading. You read too. I tried to read more. First checking the number of total pages in the book. Many. Then getting down another page before I gave some thought to a think piece. I was always thinking about writing. The piece would be about all the vomiting going on in movies and TV shows. So I noticed a significant uptick in scenes featured characters throwing up. It was so prevalent, I assumed a new Oscar category had been introduced. Farrah agreed. I was onto something. There did indeed seem to be more actors losing their lunch on screen these days. And I wondered if some new technology had been invented that allowed actors to more convincingly vomit on screen. In the past, an actor would hold the prop vomit in their mouth and on cue spit it out. I believe it was some kind of creamed soup that they used. But it was never enough to be convincing, just a mouthful worth. or what my Irish friend once called rejecting a pint as he stood over me, patting my back on an old Spanish street. But these days, in nearly every movie, there was inevitably a rather prolonged vomit scene. And it wasn't just a mouthful, it was gallons of the stuff, like actors heaving and retching for what seemed like ages, captured from a variety of angles. This happened in every sort of film, not just those in which someone was overcoming an addiction or a person was pregnant. Didn't seem like CGI. It looked too good. Couldn't motion track barf, could you? I wondered if it was some kind of physical rig, a tube or a hose or something attached to a bag filled with fake vomit, or if maybe actors and actresses were really vomiting. The method ones, probably, but it seemed like that's a lot to ask of a regular non-method actor. A couple times in recent months, Farrah asked if I'd been working on my think piece. It's such a good idea, she'd say. And I'd lie and say, oh yeah, I've been outlining it. Or I'd say, I need to talk to a Hollywood producer or a prop guy, someone who can tell me what the hell's going on with all this vomit. Truth was, I didn't know what I was driving at with all this. Just an observation. If my mind wasn't shot, I might have been able to see more meaning in it. Why, more vomiting in the stories we were being told. How is this kind of zeitgeist capturing an anxiety unique to now? What did it say about what it means to be alive today? I had no idea. I was stuck. So the think piece was more so an unfinished thought piece, God damn it. Yeah, it really did frustrate me that my mind was so shot. I mean, it was seriously shot. Sometimes it made me angry or existentially bummed, but I didn't want Farrah to see that, given her own struggles. I was hoping this scheme to buy chairs and read books would turn things around before they got too bad. I wondered how the reading was going for her. I tried to sneak a peek at the number of pages she had gotten through. What I saw instead was her quickly hiding her phone under the pages. Hey, lady, I said. I see that. Shh, what? You see what? I see you have your phone there in between the pages. What? She said, feigning surprise. She opened the book to the pages where her phone was stashed, as if accidentally coming across it. Oh, this? No, I'm just using it as a bookmarker. Yeah, my book didn't come with one. I remember them coming with one. I guess that's not the thing anymore, probably due to the environment, the sea turtles or the polar bears. You're using your phone as a bookmarker? She nodded. With my face only, I gave her a full dose of parent-style disappointment, but dialed it way down when I saw her eyes fill with tears. Her chin began to wildly quiver. Oh, hey, Bunny, I said. It's okay. Don't cry. This only made matters worse. This tender display of sympathy, she ramped up from sobs to full-blown blubbering. Seeing her in such distress caused my own chin to quiver, my own eyes to go glossy. We reached out to each other from our matching accent chairs. It's just so hard, she said, between blubbers. I know, I said, arching toward her, being careful not to knock over the Negronis. I pressed my head into her temple. I really had to extend my neck to do it. We're too far gone. Maybe, I said. Yeah, maybe our minds are too shot. Yeah, they're too shot! I looked down at her book. It was nonfiction about the very thing we were battling, the losing of our minds. The title was Mindless in America. She had calculated that reading about the problem would help her transcend the problem. Maybe it only amplified it. At any rate, I had nothing to show for my alternate route of fiction. I couldn't focus on it, even though the book was quite celebrated and had clearly proven itself as an immortal text. No, it wasn't the books, it was us, it was our messed up minds. Still, we had to try. We have to try, I said. Yes, she said bravely, we must. Or else what? We sit around catching flies in our mouths, our jaws slack with stupidity? That's no way to live. No, there isn't enough protein in flies, I agreed. We'd have to eat a lot of them. Problem is, they've been known to carry germs. She shook head at me, dismayed, as she pressed her fingers under her eyes as if to push the tears back into the shallow pond of her skull. What? I said, sensing I had said something stupid. Literalness is the refuge of the shot mind, she said. glumly, as though repeating a symptom she'd read on a MayoClinic.com listicle called late-stage indicators of a completely shot mind. As though pronouncing me and my apparatus too far gone. I clapped my hand over my mouth, blocking any further idiotic utterances. I reached out to her with my other hand. She pulled back, looked at it as if it was contagious. Panic rose. The thought of being alone in my mindlessness did a viral TikTok dance before my inner camera phone. I leaned, reached for her, nearly knocking over the Negronis, when we both heard a loud snap. What the huh? Our heads swiveled, trying to spot the source. Nothing looked amiss, or especially snap-causing. Inside, our rusty gears turned, trying to identify it. It had been a classic analog snap, vintage, maybe a really loud click, but more violent. Not a beep, nor bleep, nor buzz. Nothing from the digital realm. It had an ancient physicality to it. A thing had hit another thing, producing a sound. But what thing? And what other thing? Had the breeze, the very same one animating our indoor palms, caused an object to fall? Had something shifted in a shelf? Maybe the cool evening air had caused a material in the very framework of the building to shrink or expand, thereby causing the sound, a vintage, old-school snap. But even before we completed these contemplations, our minds, however wrung out, arrived at a most plausible explanation. The mouse, we said. We said the mouse, but really we meant the mouse trap. 2 weeks ago, I had gotten fed up with glimpsing the mouse in the corner of my eye and the gradual diminishment of our cauliflower chip supply, so I bought traps online. I tried the non-lethal variety first, baiting them with peanut butter, switching to feta cheese when the mouse showed no interest in neither creamy nor crunchy smears. When the non-lethal traps proved to be ineffective, I reluctantly pivoted to the traditional mousetrap, the kind that smashes a mouse with Old Testament brutalism. We didn't want to kill the little guy, but enough was enough. I baited these traps with the mouse's apparent favorite, the cauliflower chips. Forgot all about them, given the state of my mind. Meanwhile, the mouse was darting through the corner of our eyes at all hours, seemingly uninterested in the bait, as though it had sworn off cauliflower chips for dietary reasons. And yet now, the snap. Dreading that we might discover the mouse had not been instantly killed, and that it was lingering, suffering sorrowfully, and that one of us would have to smash it further with a pan or a hammer, or even a book. We rose from our reading chairs, went straight for the trap in the kitchen, triangulating on the place from which the snap had seemingly been issued, books raised like mouse-smashing mallets. I'd placed a trap behind the toaster oven, so that's where we went first, approaching tentatively, our faces configured with a pre-gross-out grimace. We stood before the toaster oven and noticed through the little window in the door, I'd forgotten about some chocolate chip cookies I'd made using a small batch toaster oven recipe I'd found online. Oh, there's cookies, Sarah said. Oh, I made those, I said, remembering. Yeah, just this afternoon while you did typey. So they're fresh. We took them out. Indeed, they were still warm. We ate them over the sink, splitting them evenly between us. When they were gone, we checked the toaster oven for more, because maybe one or two had fallen through the grill. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Major bummer. We had sex in the kitchen and watched a new docu-series about tacos on Netflix.
That was Mindless in America by Kenneth Calhoun, read by Justin Kirk.